What's up, guys, and welcome to this segment of Pinckney's Prospects. I'm Billy Pinckney, and today we are joined by Arizona Diamondbacks prospect Blake Workman. Blake, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Now, you just told me before we started that you actually have COVID right now, so that's pretty crazy. What has your experience been like so far?
It hasn't been too bad. I can't speak for everybody, but mine has been pretty tame. I got pretty sick for about 36 hours. I had body aches, chills, no fever, but then after that stuff went away, and then I couldn't taste or smell right now, and I got a little bit of a stuffy nose, but that's the only thing still hanging around.
Right. Wow. Well, I'm happy you're doing pretty good, and we'll get right into it by talking about your time in college. You attended California State University. What kind of experience did you have playing for them?
Oh, it was awesome. To be honest, when I got there, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Everybody says college baseball is a great time, and it is, but there's a big learning curve too. I had to realize I was now a big fish in a bigger pond, and I had to figure out how to make myself valuable on the team. So it took me a little while. My freshman year was pretty bad, but after that, I kind of found my groove, and my coaches did me a lot of good favors and pushed me along in the right direction.
Right. Now, in 2018, the D-backs drafted you in the 22nd round. How exciting was it for you to get that phone call that you were going to be a part of the MLB organization moving forward?
It was awesome. One of those life-changing moments where I had to keep it together because I was actually on the field practicing, but my insides were exploding a little bit. I was really excited, ready for the next step forward too, because it's a whole nother game going from college to the pros. So I was ready, and it was awesome.
What was that transition like for you? Was it difficult? Because a lot of guys say, it's difficult. They have to adjust a little bit.
Yeah, for me, it was especially so. I pitched a lot my junior year in college, so when I got to my first short season, I was out of gas. I'd never had to do that before. So my first two outings went really well, and then after that, I was dropped down. I was throwing 83 to 85. I just had nothing left, and so I had to figure out how to put it together for the rest of the season, and that was my biggest learning issue right there. And then once I got that, my next year I came out and I was prepared and just cruised for the whole season.
Right. Yes. I mean, so far you spent 2 seasons in pro ball with very solid numbers. During your time not last year, but last season in 2019, you recorded a 1.72 ERA out of the pen. What type of adjustments did you make from that 2018 season to 2019 to be even more dominant and at a higher level?
For me, like I said, it was getting used to the routine, but then also my mentality changed pretty significantly between my first and second year. It was something that never really clicked for me, but I kind of took it personally when someone stepped in that box, and it made it a little more interesting, and made me a little more competitive, and things just started coming together a lot. And also my off-season training, the off-season before that, had been much better. I worked with a pitching coach, and he kind of got my alignment on my way down the mound a little straightened out. And all of a sudden that made my command, just exponentially grow. And all of a sudden it was way easier to put the ball where I wanted.
Right. Now, you've been with the organization for a couple of years, but has there been anything that stands out to you in how they run their organization and treat the minor leaguers?
The Diamondbacks are really, really big on personality.
Okay.
And it's something that I've heard here and then from other organizations, but I can't say it's necessarily true like the Diamondbacks, where they don't have very many people that are hanging around that aren't quality people. And so it makes, doing things really easy. Your training staff, your weight training staff, everybody is just willing to help, and they're going to put every effort into making you better and making things easier for you.
Right. Now, as a prospect who seems to be flying under the radar and proven to be a solid arm out of the pen, what is it that you're trying to do in order to stand out and continue to ascend throughout the levels?
I've kind of made it my personal mission to be the best player where my feet are. It's really easy to get caught up in, what's going on, whose transactions are going where, and where everyone's getting moved around to. But I've come to realize if I can be the best pitcher I am or the best player I am right where I am at that point in time, I'm going to be successful, and I don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. So just making sure that I compete at the best I can where I am.
Right. Now, this past season was canceled. So how much of a setback was it for your development? Was there much that you were able to do to work on to stay in shape and be ready to go for next year?
That was kind of the tough part. It wasn't so much, I would say there was definitely not as much development as would normally take place in an off season, but it's been interesting in other ways, because finding places to work out, finding places to throw, all that I think has made me better, which is kind of weird, but it's that weird adversity that's kind of made me grow in ways that I wasn't expecting to and that I wouldn't have ordinarily. So, silver linings, and things of that nature. I'm just trying to make the best of it.
Right. And due to the season being canceled, we've seen a lot of MLB teams during last season call up guys who never played in AAA or barely touched AA. And it's pretty interesting because we haven't seen much of that in the past. And do you feel that organizations will try to rush guys into being ready for the big leagues, such as having certain players skip levels, or do you think teams will hold them back and continue the standard development process?
That's a tough question. I really have been pondering that myself as to what they're going to do. If my best guess would be it is different from each organization, and I would assume that the majority of them would kind of stick with the plan that they have, other than maybe a few minor adjustments here or there, because they've obviously got an influx of players coming in, and so they're going to have to rotate some out, unfortunately. Right. So I would assume there would be a little bit of movement, but nothing crazy. Maybe a case-to-case basis is my best guess.
Right. You being only 23 years old, they might say, oh, he's young, so we're going to allow him to stay back and continue to develop. Or they could say, look at his numbers from 2019. We're going to bump him up to AA and start him out there in 2021. So I guess it depends on each case.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, a lot of times when an analyst or former MLB player looks at a prospect, they're able to compare themselves to an established big leaguer. From your perspective, is there anyone you've modeled your game after or someone who has influenced you along the way?
Ooh, this is a tough one. They actually asked us this all the time during the scouting process in college, and I never had a good answer. And it's bad because I'm not a huge, I'm just going to sound terrible, I'm not a huge baseball watcher. I don't necessarily sit down and watch games very often. I'm more interested in doing it myself. Right. But if I had to, I would say the biggest influence when I was growing up was Jake Peavy. I'm from San Diego. I loved watching him with all the energy and just like ready to explode at any time. But as far as consistency goes, I think I probably line up a little bit more with people like Greg Maddux when he was a little on the slower side, and Davies with the Padres right now as well. He's more of a put the ball where he wants it kind of guy. I've never been overpowering, but I can, for the most part, put the ball where it needs to be.
Right. And the last question I want to ask you today is what advice you would give to younger prospects, whether in high school or college, who might be going through that process of recruitment or getting drafted? What would you say to those guys?
I would say not to sweat the little things, because those little things seem huge in the moment. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was in high school looking to get recruited to college, I'd have a team say, hey, we're going to come watch you. And I thought that was it. I'm going to go to this school and it's going to be great. And they didn't even show up. That little stuff doesn't matter that much. I would say stick with the program, stick with your process, and just grind it out. That's all baseball is. Just grind it out. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing.
All right, Blake, I appreciate you coming on, and enjoy the off season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, and to all you guys watching, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time here on Pinckney's Prospects.